What if the reason your marriage feels stuck isn't what you're fighting about, but how you're listening? See, most couples think their problem is a particular disagreement. If we could just solve this issue or fix this habit or I could win this argument, everything will be better. But what if the real problem isn't the topic? What if you're not actually hearing each other? See, if that doesn't change, you're probably going to end up having the same fight for the next 10 years. Before we go any further, here's what we're going to unpack together. By the end of this video, you're going to understand first why we don't listen well, even when we love each other, and how poor listening is quietly creating more problems than you realize. And then lastly, you're going to learn how to listen in a way that makes your spouse feel heard and validated and safe. When Bonnie and I were newly married, one of our biggest struggles was that I constantly interrupted her, and it drove her crazy. Now, I didn't interrupt her because I didn't love her. I interrupted her because I really wasn't listening. And while she was talking, my mind was forming my opinion, preparing my response, and thinking about how I was going to defend myself. So even though she was speaking and speaking her heart, I never fully absorbed what she was trying to say. And Bonnie thinks it's hilarious that I had to go get my master's in counseling just to learn how to listen. But I don't think I'm alone in this. How many of us are doing the same thing? So before we talk about how to listen well, we need to understand why we don't. Here's the first thing. Some of us don't listen well because we learned unhealthy patterns growing up. You learned how to handle conflict long before you got married. And maybe people in your home interrupted each other, or maybe emotions ran hot. Maybe nobody was really listening. That might be one reason. Here's another reason. We live in a really distracted world. We have phones, we got television, we got computers, we got multitasking. We're present physically with our spouse, but a lot of times we're absent mentally. All right, here's another reason you might not be listening well. Maybe you're emotionally flooded. So what does that mean? Well, when you're in a tense conversation with your spouse or discussion, emotions rise. And when emotions rise, comprehension usually drops. So when you're upset, your ears really don't seem to work that well, do they? A fourth reason you might not be listening well is because sometimes we're just simply committed to being right more than being connected. So if listening feels hard, it's not random. There's reasons. You just need to figure it out. Maybe it's one of those I just listed. So why does it matter so much that we listen well? So imagine this. Imagine your husband or your wife, your spouse, asks you to go to the grocery store or the hardware store or whatever for them. And they need some things to finish a project or a recipe or something like that. And they spout out 4 or 5 things. Well, you don't write them down. You're not really listening. You just kind of get to the grocery store and you grab some things that you like and you come home. Did that help them? Did that help the situation? No, that didn't help anything. It just created more frustration. See, listening gives you information, and information gives you understanding about your spouse. And what does understanding do? Understanding creates safety. And then safety allows you to open up and connect, which is what we're after. See, most arguments, they're not really about the surface issue. That argument's not going to be about what you brought back from the grocery store. That argument's going to be about, why didn't you listen to what I really needed? James chapter 1, verse 19. It says this. It says, everyone should be quick to listen, should be slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Guys, that's not just good marriage advice. I mean, that's God's design for healthy relationships. So let's take the first thing, quick to listen. What does that mean? It means that while my spouse is talking, I'm not preparing my rebuttal or my response. I'm absorbing. I'm choosing curiosity over correction, right? So what's the next thing mean? Slow to speak. That means that you don't have to answer immediately. See, silence isn't weakness. Silence is discipline. It's choosing connection over reaction. And slow to be angry. What does that mean? That means that when your emotions spike, when you're in a tense conversation, I don't push forward. I don't just keep going and allow emotions to take over. I pause. So if you're emotionally flooded, here's what you might need to do. If you're in an argument and you feel like emotions are taking over, call a timeout. Step away, take a breath, pray, bring the Holy Spirit into it, and then come back when you can actually listen, when your emotions have de-escalated. So here's one simple practice, one simple thing that you can do next time you're in a conversation with your spouse that can change everything. You've heard it. It's called active listening. So after your spouse finishes talking, say something like this. Say, so what I hear you saying is, and then repeat it back in your own words. Guys, listening isn't proven until it's understood. That's the difference between listening and hearing, right? Listening means you understood it. And so when your spouse feels accurately heard, something in them is going to shift. Their defenses are going to lower, their safety is going to increase, connection's going to grow. So if you want your marriage to change, start here. Be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. So listening, it's great, but it's only half the equation. Once your spouse feels heard, now it's your turn to speak well. And if you don't know how to express your needs without sounding critical, you'll fall right back into these same cycles we just talked about. So, this next video you need to watch is how to express your needs without sounding critical. I'll link to it. Let's keep building the kind of marriage that reflects Christ. I'll see you there.